And we are live. Welcome, everybody, to the Sling'N podcast. I'm Kent Hauer, and tonight our guest is Sam DeSimone of Evolution Training Solutions. Sam, how you doing, man?
Not bad. How are you?
I'm doing great. And like clockwork, just as I begin to do the intros myself, TJ decides to unfuck his computer. What's up, buddy?
Chrome has turned against me.
Skynet is not cooperating. So, you want to just do your intro since you're so much better at it?
Yeah, sure. And we're late. Welcome to episode 55 of the Sling'N podcast. I am TJ.
And I'm Kent.
And joining us is Sam DeSimone from Evolution Training Solutions. Sam, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me again.
Yeah,
absolutely. So before we do get started, I do have an important announcement to make. One of our regular listeners has informed me that a friend of his son was involved in a single car accident and is currently in the hospital. Luckily, the young man survived the accident, but as it goes with most passengers, he did suffer the brunt of the injuries and the damage. Of course, while we all want to get into the typical social media norm of sending on thoughts and prayers, you guys should know us better by now that we don't just do that. After speaking with both the young man's father and our viewer, we kind of convinced them to go ahead and set up a GoFundMe, to show that love and to show the support that the Second Amendment community can bring to bear. So the link for that GoFundMe is in the description of this video. And we invite you all to contribute whatever you can. A little goes a long way, and I know it will mean a lot to the boy's father. So prayers for a speedy recovery, and we will pony up and support as well. We will lead by example.
Yeah, so real quick, they want their names mentioned, obviously, because the thing's on here. So prayers for Bryson, Olson, and family. And first person to donate $250 to Bryson Olson's family will receive a free class at Green Mountain Defense. Hit me up. Somebody on here tonight throw in $250 to this kid's family, and that just happens to be the cost of a GMD class. So I'll go ahead and donate that.
Way to level it up, man. So
let's get in there.
Yeah, we'll revisit that later on in the show just as a reminder to everybody. But without any further delay, Sam, you've been on the show before, but I'd like you to take an opportunity to reintroduce yourself. So for those listening at home, here live on the broadcast, please, Sam, tell everybody who the hell you are.
Sam DeSimone. I'm from the Scranton, Pennsylvania area. Run a company called Evolution Training Solutions. But been in business since 2015. Started off doing training for law enforcement in my area, and then ventured into open enrollment stuff as well. A little bit of my instructor background. I've been a firearms instructor since 2011. Lead firearms instructor for my agency since 2012. I work for a local police department in Scranton, Wilkes-Barre area, Pennsylvania, where the office is. It's not really filmed in Scranton, but it's kind of where it's based. Do a lot of training for firearms, active shooter, high-risk warrant service, TAC med. I have a couple instructor-level programs, Red Dot instructor, also a handgun, shotgun instructor, all MOPEC approved. With basically MOPEC is Pennsylvania's post. The firearm, some of the instructor courses aren't like publicly on my website. They're kind of contract host stuff for agencies, but probably coming this year because there's been a lot of change with the state police starting to charge. NRA has been slowly doing less instructor level classes, so I'll probably be starting to put that on the website. 40-hour courses, so it covers everything from curriculum development to developing your own lesson plans and range drills, and training your guys at local law enforcement agencies. See what else? High-risk warrant service and CQB for patrol officers. Got a 3-day high-risk warrant service coming up this weekend. All pretty much sold out. There's only 2 spots left in it. A lot of my experience from that comes from basically I've been a cop for 10 years. 8 of them 10 years I've been doing narcotics work. When I first came on the job, I started doing undercover buys. I was young. I was like 20 years old before I even wore a uniform. Then went into my narcotics unit for my police department. Was assigned to drug task force. Did that for several years. I don't remember if last time I was on here if I had a beard or not, but I used to have a real huge beard, long hair. Then about a little over a year ago, I came back to patrol. So now I'm doing patrol work, and I run the training division for our police department, which is like it's not a full-time gig, but it's part-time when we run firearms programs every year. Each of our guys go through a 3-day program every year for firearms. And then we have other stuff that we could do throughout the year, like TACMED, other various topics. So basically out of that, I started my training company, like I said, in 2015. I'm certified as an EMT as well through Pennsylvania National Registry. So that's where a little bit of my experience with the TACMED comes in. So when I was on the drug task force, I was actually like secondary. I would do medical support for basically all our guys on warrant entries and stuff like that. So, I offer programs along them lines as well. So.
Okay.
Quite the resume, right?
Yeah, exactly. So real quick, while we've got you and you mentioned the topic, is it common for
I think we lost him.
Is it common for TJ's entire shit to freeze up?
Am I breaking up?
Yeah, you went full Tourette syndrome. So I think
what I was getting to.
Wait, hold on. Here's how well I know you. You were gonna ask: is it common for a sworn law enforcement officer to also be an EMT?
No, I was gonna go the training route. I know that's actually uncommon. You're right, the EMT thing that you were getting to, but this is speaking explicitly to the level of training that is in the law enforcement budget, right? Mm. So, is it common for law enforcement agencies to have a dedicated trainer, or are they kind of making it a part-time gig for one of the patrolmen?
It depends on the agency. Scranton PD, which is near us, they have 2 full-time trainers. One is like firearms and one's like special activities. So he'll teach like active shooter stuff for their special operations group, different stuff like that. So TJ, you don't know, you may or may not know, but I'm actually in Harrisburg right now. I'm sitting in an Airbnb. I'm like 10 minutes from Kent. I'm with a couple other guys for a training class right now. One of the guys that I'm here with, he is a full-time trainer for his department just outside the Philadelphia area. So he has a partner that works with him. So it's in my area. It's not really common for a full-time trainer, depending on the size of your agency. Scranton PD is like 175 guys, about that. So for my department, we're a lot smaller than them. So we don't have a full-time spot for that. But
okay, gotcha.
To answer your question though, on police officer certified EMTs, we actually have 4 in my police department.
Okay, I mean it makes sense, right? That part's not all that surprising, but what a lot of people. So follow me down this rabbit hole, if you will. One of the common themes or common questions, and Kent, you can attest to this, and Sam, I'm sure you've seen it yourself. Whenever somebody comes out and touts themselves as a firearms instructor, right? That is my business, my side gig, whatever. One of the first questions you get from the unindoctrinated is, are you a Mill Leo? Do you have any real world experience? Have you actually been shot at? Yada, 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 blah, 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 all bullshit, right? So what I'm trying to get at is just because you're law, LEO or mill doesn't necessarily mean you make the best trainer. And even the guys that train part or that are in mill Leo, even if they have a training background, they might not be doing it full time.
Yeah,
right.
Correct.
So it's a lot. It's not to demean the qualifications and the resume you have. Of course, you've just spouted it off, and it's certainly impressive. But more for the listeners at home, take it with a grain of salt whenever somebody starts touting, oh, well, I was Mill, I was Leo, whatever the case might be, yada, yada. Therefore, I am good instructor. That's not how this works. You should always do the due diligence and research deeper into that instructor's resume.
I could say, to back that up, I know a lot of instructors who go through a 40-hour basic law enforcement firearms instructor school just so they could run a 60 or 50 round qualification for their department every year. They're not teaching anything. They're just counting holes on a target and saying you're qualified for the next, 12 months. Because all it is a 40-hour basic course, my opinion, somebody who is a firearms instructor that only attended a 40-hour course and nothing more than an RSO, in my opinion, doesn't mean you're a good teacher. That's like the base of what an instructor should have. Right.
And that's why I was going with that. So thank you.
And even like myself, Ken, I'm sure I know tons of civilian firearms instructors who are amazing.
Yep.
Several that both myself and Ken have trained under.
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny. I was just listening to a PNS episode, and they were talking about this too. And it's one of those things where, like, as long as we stay in our respective lanes, 100% fine, right? So perfect example, right? Sam is teaching high-risk warrant service. Kent is not teaching high-risk warrant service. Why? Because I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, and if anybody did buy my class and listen to me, I'm very likely to get them hurt or killed. Not cool, right? It's not in my lane. There's no reason for me to be teaching that. So as a non-mill, non-LEO guy, I stayed in my lane, which is point the thing at the thing and press the thing without disturbing the things, and the thing will fall over. Hey, look at that. Good job. Let's do it again. And a little faster now. So, but in all seriousness, that as long as you're staying in your lane. Now, the other side of that is you get these dudes who are, no disrespect to anybody who served, but the guy was a Ranger qualified supply sergeant, right? And he's teaching barrel roll, cheetah flip, helicopter class.
Don't forget the hatchet throw.
And the hatchet throw. The point being, look to who you're getting your education from and about what. Sam, I didn't even realize you were an EMT or any of the med qualifications until you just told me that right now. And you and I have talked a bunch of times. That's another thing where it's like, if evolution was to throw up a med class, I'd probably take that shit from an EMT.
I'm running one next month.
Hey. Look at that.
12th or 14th. Hold on. Or no, not next month. It's December 12th.
Ooh, I might be able to make that. We'll talk offline. I might be able to do that.
Yeah, it's in Scranton.
I'm over here. I'm sorry I'm distracted. I'm over here helping raise money on GoFundMe. So keep going, you dudes.
Hey, if anybody hits that that 250, they could have a free spot in my TACMED class.
There we go. Well, I just gave away one free spot, and I offered up a second one. So there's 3 free spots so far. One's hit and 2 are not spoken for. So you can either have one for me or one for Sam. For the young gentleman from the car accident who's listed in the GoFundMe. So we're gonna raise some money tonight for Bryson Olson. That's freaking awesome, you guys. Thanks, appreciate you, Sam. Yeah. So Sam, let's talk for half a second or more about your path as a trainer, as a teacher, right? Like what has been some of the more effective instructor development stuff that you've done? What's been influential on you?
Ooh. Let's see. As an instructor in general, or
Yeah.
you're talking
Yeah,
firearms?
as an educator, as a teacher.
Let me think of all the ones I've taken. I'm like more of a student than a police officer or anything here. As an instructor, I think by far the best one that has helped me as an instructor, Pennsylvania State Police Officers, a 40-hour instructor development course, which is it's basically a course that teaches you how to write lesson plans. They throw you on the spot, like improvise presentations in front of the class. You have to write, a half-hour presentation for the final day. As an instructor, that has probably been the best to get me on a good foundation. And then actually teaching at the police academy. So I'm also an academy instructor as well. I don't run, but I'm one of the lead instructors for firearms and also TAC Med. So that has probably been the best for instructor development for me, just actually doing it in front of different people all the time, which is in my academy, sometimes up to 100 cadets a year. But class-wise, trying to think, instructor development wise, I'd probably say centrifuge training vehicle CQB instructor. Probably one course that has advanced my capabilities as an instructor beyond what it ever was prior to taking that class. And I've actually got to take it twice. Well, I took it once as a student, and then I actually helped teach a class up in Syracuse last year. So I AI'd for one. So actually teaching that course back to other people who are potential instructors was a good experience for instructor development. I would say another class, 8-8 Tactical High Threat CQB instructor. They have very similar instructor and teaching methodologies to centrifuge training. Obviously, Will Petty came from 8-8 Tactical before he started his own company. So a lot of their instructor methodologies kind of carry over, where a lot of it's behavior-based training, teaching actual practical stuff that goes into, it relates to, like I said, the behavior aspect of what we're actually doing when we get into lethal force encounters, not what we want to do on paper, but what the human body is actually making you do because of, what the brain is telling you, different types of brains. Those few courses were really good. Phil Groff's vigor training, his armed vehicle defense instructor, that was another really good one. Not only, like, these are courses, not only are you taking the course, you're actually earning the certs. They have quals at the end. You actually have to teach back blocks of instruction. And Kent, I know you've taken Phil's vehicle class. It's not just your square range stuff.
Yeah, it's certainly not. It's definitely a mind fuck sometimes. But
yeah,
it's interesting to me. Something I want to unpack a little bit that you just mentioned was what we're going to do in a lethal force encounter, as opposed to what we want to do in a lethal force encounter. Can you expand on that a little bit?
So in what aspect do you want me?
Well, so the common stuff that you hear is the adrenaline dump, the auditory exclusion, tunnel vision. You're going to be all thumbs. You're not going to have manual dexterity. I'm kind of setting you up for some stuff I know. Is that the kind of thing you're referring to, or are you referring to the way the decision-making paradigm changes when you're actually scared?
I'm referring more to like the decision-making.
Yep.
When you're presented with a threat in front of you, basically how your body naturally will react, rather than, having that perfect shooting stance, squared up with your target, like you would be on a square range shooting a paper target. Like, majority of the time That's not how we're getting into gunfights. No, we look at dash cam footage, body cam footage, surveillance camera footage, cell phone footage of officers that are actually getting into gunfights and seeing how they actually react. You know, like one thing where Phil and Will, you know, both kind of competitors in the vehicle game, I guess you could say, but they both teach. They teach very different courses. The end game on both of their courses is to work a vehicle the same way and have the same outcome, but they present their courses in totally different formats. But rather than, you know, how we used to gunfight from, you know, the via the door and the A pillar, you know, on high risk vehicle stops and stuff like that, or using that area as cover. Well, it's not really behaviorally compliant. Instead of starting there and moving to the back of a car when we get in a gunfight, why not start at the back? You know, so stuff along them lines. And thinking about not just when you're developing range plans and lesson plans and stuff, you know, the why behind you're doing a certain task, you know, it's kind of big. Does that answer your question?
No, absolutely. I just my point was the old tropes are always all about how your body will, you know, will defy you and not do what you want it to. And I knew that wasn't where you were going, so I figured I would just make the distinction.
I can't really answer for, you know, I've never been in a shooting, so, you know, there's some of that I can't say this is what's going to happen, you know, because I've never personally been in a shooting. Been close, you know, a couple times, never actually had one. You know, I have several guys that have trained under me that have, and talking to them, you know, a lot of the training that I provided for them had actually prepared them to prevail in their fights. So, you know, it's good that the training is helping.
Sure, absolutely. And I mean, whether you've been in a shooting or not, we've all been scared. We've all at least once or twice in our lives been mortally scared, right? We were afraid for our lives. Maybe it was a car wreck. Maybe
I ain't afraid of shit.
Yeah. Okay. Right. You don't have a soul. That's right. I forgot.
Except spiders.
It goes into here you go. That the startle response. You know, when you see a spider, you get scared, right?
It depends on the spider, but I have personally been battling a brown recluse infestation. So
burn them.
FML, right? Burn the house down, honey. We're moving. It's just the way it goes. But yeah, man. I mean, no. In all seriousness, I know exactly what you're talking about, right? It's that fight or flight response.
Yeah.
Do I smack it with my boot, pull out a gun, burn the house down, or do I haul ass? Right.
Yeah, all three perhaps. So
you know what you need? You need that that little torch gun, the big flamethrower.
Oh,
well,
boy.
Yeah.
No, TJ does not need a flamethrower.
Kid, birthday gun idea.
Oh fuck! Here it comes. This motherfucker's gonna be living with me because he can burn his house down.
No,
Come on up.
Okay, side story. So Kent and I have both agreed that we are going to focus on training and properly equipping our loadout and focusing on, you know, all that stuff as opposed to just buying a new gun every time, right? Yeah. So we have agreed that every year we will limit our gun purchases to a single gun. And it just so happens that mine and Kent's birthdays are a day apart. So call it serendipity, man. This was meant to be, right? So about this time, about 6 months, 6, 7, 8 months out, we start having those conversations about what gun we might end up purchasing, right? We don't always buy the same thing, right? But it's fun to dream. And I don't know. I think XM42 is on the docket, bro.
Oh my God, this is a terrible idea. So our GoFundMe thing is going well. We've got 2 of the 3 giveaway classes spoken for. One is going to Mike and one is going to Tim. The next one is Sam's.
How about this? It doesn't even have to be the TACMED class. It could be any class.
There you go. Any class with Evolution Training Solutions for a $250 donation. So who's ever feeling froggy, just leap. So back on topic with the training thing. Let's for a minute focus on the commonalities. Everyone wants to focus on the difference between law enforcement and civilian firearms training. Truth is, there's a lot of similarities until we get to tactics, right?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, shooting, right?
Exactly. So essentially, at the academy level, you're just teaching dudes to run a gun out of an ALS instead of out of a floodlight, and
Basically,
it's the same stuff, is it not?
marksmanship is marksmanship,
Right.
whether it's under stress or on a flat range. You know, if you don't have it, you don't have it. But you know,
Do you find that, and you know, this is maybe your agency dependent. I don't want you to like talk poorly or whatever on your agency, but in that vein, do you find that more and more of the people that are coming to the profession are not at all gun people and are not proficient when they show up, or what's it look like in your world?
most of them aren't.
Right.
Especially in the police academy, we see a lot of cadets that are like, I've never even held a gun before. Day one of firearms. Our firearms program is like 124 hours total, I think, for the academy, the base academy. It covers handgun, shotgun, patrol rifle. But a lot of them aren't gun people. Some become gun people after. In my police department, I wouldn't say guys are big gun guys. Some are. You know, we have some people actually who are transitioning to red dots now. One of my most senior guys, it's a sergeant who's been there for many years. I think he can retire next year. He just bought his own Glock 17 MOS with a red dot. Bought the whole setup, Dawson precision sights, you know, whole 9 yards, CNH precision plate. You know, I got him set up with everything he should have. So come this year, well, actually, the next like couple of weeks, he'll be all set up to actually start running on duty. So even guys who've been on for a while, you know, who aren't really big gun guys are still wanting to have the best equipment and have what they can get to do the job the right way.
I mean, I can't imagine not wanting the best equipment. It's
Right.
It's awesome to see that. Are you getting folks that are expanding their training career or their training time beyond the basic, 124 or whatever the requirement is? You starting to see dudes and girls getting into training?
Yeah, definitely. No, I ran before COVID, I ran an open enrollment red dot class, and it was actually mostly law enforcement. Majority of the guys in there are law enforcement. A couple troopers, a couple officers from some local agencies, some sheriffs. There was a security guard, and then maybe one or two guys who are just the average civilian. But I was actually glad to see that there's more cops getting training, especially in my area. My area is pretty horrible for training. Guys just don't train. I know there's some instructors who won't even come to my area because they can't fill a class because nobody will even sign up. It's kind of bad, but
yeah,
definitely more starting to get into training.
I think the COVID apocalypse has certainly put a different spin on people's need for training. A lot of them are brand new, but still, people are the training companies, or at least mine, where we're getting busier because of that. I've got a 1 day coming up this Sunday that is sold out and then some. I got 17 people coming to a 1 day.
Yeah,
that is a lot. And God, I got a bunch of hands. But it's just one of those things where you see some spikes sometimes. But I mean, obviously, man, we need you guys, law enforcement especially. We need you to be 100% squared away with whatever resource, whatever training, whatever any little advantage we can give you guys. It should go without saying that we need to support you. But welcome to fucking 2020. It doesn't go without saying, so we'll say it now. Right.
So they have less training.
Right. Yeah. Let's defund the police so they have less training because they're bad at their jobs, I guess. Like, I don't know, man. That really doesn't compute for me. But
Yeah.
you know, you guys are up against it as it is, and you always have been, and this ain't making it any better. I don't understand why folks hate law enforcement other than because they don't want to get held accountable by law enforcement. That usually is part of it. But that all being said, like, what have you seen from a morale standpoint? Is everybody doing all right in your world, or
in my area, we haven't really had many big problems in my area. Yeah, you have people who don't like the cops. Your average people who, well, not, I wouldn't say average, but like the normal people that don't like cops. But we haven't really had like many big protests in my area. But we all know that all that takes is one incident to happen, and it can be a flip of a switch. Like, look at Lancaster City.
Yeah,
near both of us. They had a lot of problems. Look what they basically forced the chief out of that department. Did a really good job, handled everything pretty quick. Got rid of all the civil unrest and didn't fit the political agenda of the city, and they forced him out. From what I hear, he's a really good guy too.
Yeah, same. I know you and I are talking to the same people regarding that. It's a shame to fucking see that. It really is. And I mean, it would certainly make me redefine my career choices if I was sitting there thinking I was going to do this for 30 years or something. And, God forbid you rise through the ranks and you do well and you get held accountable for honestly nothing. I could see no fault in how he handled anything. But
yeah, and I mean, across the country, they were using them as an example of how it should be handled. Apparently, some people think differently, I guess.
Yeah, dude. So right quick, we're killing it on this GoFundMe, everybody. Thanks so much for your support. Keep that pouring in. Sam's class has now been given away to Frank Hovarth. So all 3 of those free classes have been given away.
When this is over, just like forward me his information.
Yeah, we'll make sure you get squared away. This is fantastic to see. Thanks so much for everybody jumping in like that. So interestingly enough, one of the things that I would kind of like to delve into, and it's something that you probably could help with, is there any benefit at all to civilians learning things like CQB, for an example?
Actually, just not this past weekend, last weekend, on the 4th, I believe it was, I ran a home defense CQB course. So absolutely, look at all the incidents you've been seeing on the news, like people breaking into houses and stuff like that. Basically, I ran what would be like a solo CQB room clearing for your average civilian. We covered a lot of scenarios on burglaries, break-ins, stuff like that. Everyone that took it was like basically shocked that there wasn't more people there because there was only like a handful of people. I think maybe the CQB part in the class name kind of was like a turnoff for some people. They're like, oh, I don't want to be a military operator. I just want to know how to clear my house. I'm like, well, that's kind of what the point of it is. But
God.
Yeah.
Will you teach me to operate? So real quick, at this point, God, I hate getting belabored on these things, but the reality of the situation, folks, CQB, close quarters battle. If you come home in your house and you have evidence that your house is broken into, hell, maybe your neighbor's house was broken into, and the cops are there and they say the suspect is still at large. Understanding the tactics, and yes, I'm going to use that infamous T word that people don't like to pay much attention to or get scared of. Understanding the tactics of close quarters battle is the absolute foundation of moving through your house smartly to make sure that there are no threats. And if there are threats, you can know how to deal with them. And more importantly, not just deal with the threats, but know how to deal with, navigate, and interrogate the obstacles that might exist within that environment, i.e. friends, family members, your dog, your cat, the neighbor's house that just got broken into, because guess what? Bullets go through things.
I'm going to interrogate my dog. I'm sorry.
You interrogate obstacles, a-hole.
I know.
It's not a course like, if you show up at your house and you see your house been ransacked, like, oh, I'm going to go clear my house before the cops get here. And that's not what it is. It's if you're in your house and you have no other choice but to safely get out, and that's what you need to do is safely navigate through your house.
Or tactical egress.
If somebody maybe followed you home from work and broke in your house while you're there, obviously the number one thing is to get out and, or if your actions causes them to run away, you're not chasing after them. That's what the police are for,
Well, interestingly enough, right? I talked through some of these. What are we preparing you for kind of conversations with students? And what are we not preparing you for? What are you not equipped to deal with after this class or after your current level of training, right? And one of the things that, I like to bring up a lot is these kind of Kobayashi Maru scenarios, the Star Trek thing, the unwinnable game, right? There's no victory here. One of them being the oh my God, I showed up. The place has been broken into, but I know for damn sure that my baby and his mom are inside.
Yeah.
Like I know they're there, right?
That would be a different scenario,
Exactly, right? So do I have any foolhardy belief in my mind that I'm going to go in there and 100% win? I don't know, man. There could be 4 dudes in there. But you got to believe I'm going to try.
Yeah.
So if I'm going to try, I should probably have a skill set to back up that attempt. Just food for thought. So, you don't have to put on plate carriers and night vision and work in teams of 4 and do all that. And you know what, man, if that's your idea of a fun week, then fuck yeah, because people jump out of planes for fun and, ride jet skis and motorcycles and whatever else. So, good on you. But context is everything, and there is some context for this stuff.
Exactly.
I don't know if you could tell or not, but it's almost like I'm looking at your course offerings and asking questions that are based on those.
It probably is. Yeah, I've since probably it may or may not help me get more people for that class. The less SWAT or militarized, it's now called Home Defense Solutions.
Right.
So if you're looking for it, that's what it's now called.
Right.
And if you'd like to follow along, you can find Sam's website at evolutionordnance.org. Links are, of course, in the description.
Perfect.
You like how I slid that in there?
I do.
All gentle-like.
So let's see what else. Sam, when are you switching to all staccatos?
Never.
Never gonna do it. Here it is. Ready? Basic ass simple Glock with a holoson and a nice Overwatch trigger.
Dude, this is a 407. It's not even a 507.
Yeah, I got a 407 on my Smith M&P core. Heck yeah, man.
So for the folks at home that are unfamiliar, what is the difference between the 407 and the 507, gentlemen?
407 is dot only. It doesn't have the little EOTech type reticle.
See, you learn something new every day, folks. And you know what? You can pick up your 407 or 507 at any one of our affiliate links at greenmountaindefense.com/affiliates-links.
Nice job.
I'm practicing, man. I'm getting this down.
You are killing it.
Somebody might confuse me for a podcast host at some point.
Maybe.
One can hope.
Marketing expert.
Yeah, there you go. Marketing expert. So, Sam, what is your favorite of the classes that you offer? What's your this is my favorite thing to teach, and why?
Probably CQB. So Warrant Service Patrol Officer CQB. I've done a lot of it over my career. there were some times when I was assigned to drug task force, we were serving like 5 warrants a day. So it's something that I really enjoy doing. I guess it was more fun than anything. And I like guys to have solid tactics that, aren't going to get them killed. So I really enjoy that one. To go into stuff like non-law enforcement, I like teaching red dot because I like shooting red dots. I've been shooting red dots for about 3 years now, maybe a little more. Again, I have a red dot, a 1-day intro, a 2-day end user level course for open enrollment and law enforcement, and then a 2-day instructor level course. Got an instructor, the red dot instructor, coming up on November 14th and 15th, I believe it is.
It is, and I know it is because I wanted to be at it, but I got to be 2 places at once.
That's going to be in Montgomery County, PA. So it's actually hosted just like right next door to where Geisley is. So in the North Wales area. So I'll be running that one. It's law enforcement only. If there's any, I don't know if there's any law enforcement following it on the podcast, but if there is, killer price, $395 for a 2-day class, instructor level. You get a lot of resources with it. You get a Dropbox full of tons of information, policies, lesson plans, PowerPoints, information on red dot studies, some studies that a lot of people haven't seen. Obviously, everybody knows about the one that Aaron Cowan puts out, but there's also others that basically are in-house from some big police departments across the country. But it's definitely a good course. It's not a course that you just show up and walk away with a cert. You're basically teaching the whole 2 days. So there's the outline. Basically, there's some classroom in the morning of day 1. Then you go on to the range, coach shooter, the whole 2 days. There's a qualification course at the end, a written test at the end. And it's not just basic flat range shooting. There's moving and shooting, muzzle orientation stuff. So you're moving up range. It's not just a flat range course. So we cover policy development, all that stuff. It's proof for 16 hours of MOPEC credits through Pennsylvania, which again, it's like our post. I believe NRA will accept it as well for their 24-hour research for law enforcement. I see a comment here. What about LEFI instructors? Yeah, if you have, I believe they offer like a 40-hour law enforcement instructor course. If they have that, that's accepted.
Real quick, does the VCQB stuff that you teach include horse and buggies?
So I don't teach VCQB stuff like open enrollment or for other agencies. I only do it in-house.
Right. But we're in PA, so we have to add horse and buggy to the curriculum.
I'm not Lancaster or anything.
Yeah, I know you're not in Lancaster because you say it wrong. It's Lancaster, not Lancaster. But we could wait, seriously, we could corner the market here in armed buggy defense.
I don't think a buggy will stop a bullet.
There's only one way to find out.
I mean, the horse might.
Where on a horse do you
Horse
stand?
is a pretty dense object, man. Just saying.
Yeah.
Side question, right? So you have looked at. I mean, you're practically offering, at least to the law enforcement professionals or law enforcement community, essentially an instructor in a box, right? You're taking them through the course. You're giving them PowerPoints, SOP, all this other stuff. You're practically building the program for them, right?
Basically.
But you have looked at this courseware from top to bottom, front to back, front ways and back ways. What I'm curious about, Sam, is in your path that you have taken and that you have been on, and getting yourself, one, to that level, and two, developing your own curriculum to a certain extent, your own offerings, and going through all of these courses, with CQB being your favorite topic or favorite course to present, what are some things that maybe you have discovered to be different or untrue from what you might have known early on in your path, right? So always, number one man always breaks left, right? Maybe through the course, like, okay, that doesn't work. Maybe number one man needs to break right instead. Has there been any kind of eureka moments while you've been developing that out?
So you're talking about for like CQB stuff?
Yeah.
Well, so I could say right now, like from when I first started law enforcement 10 years ago, the way I did CQB when I first started has drastically evolved and changed over the last 10 years, probably like 3 or 4 different styles. So definitely things evolve and change. We mostly no longer do like dynamic entries. Everything is like deliberate, slice-based entries, threshold evaluation, stuff like that. Work the problem from the outside of the room before we even enter. So a lot of stuff like that has evolved big time, especially within like some of what I teach. So definitely, yeah. Same thing like with even my Red Dot program. When I first started my Red Dot program, I started off as a one-day program about 3 years ago, maybe. And then that is even involved. I've added a lot to that as well, especially the instructor. So the instructor one's been MOPEC, I guess to say MOPEC approved for about almost 2 years now, actually. So I don't know.
That's awesome.
Everything involves.
But when you talk about threshold evaluation, clearly you must know that the fatal funnel will get you killed in the streets, right?
So
nobody ever told you that?
Yeah, and that's a little bit of so it like
I keep setting him up, folks. I'm just throwing him softballs at this point.
So threshold evaluations, there's not really a fatal funnel there because you're
but the internet
says everything. No, yeah, like slice-based entries and threshold evaluations kind of work hand in hand. Same thing, basically. When you're working the problem from the outside, you're basically eliminating that fatal funnel. Because then, where the only place a threat could be is like them hard corners that you have not cleared. So, I'm not going to get too much into CQB tactics on a podcast because people will be like, what is he talking about? You can't really see it, but
there's a skedoodle feature on here, isn't there, TJ?
I'm not gonna John Madden this shit. It's not gonna happen.
I don't, my personal opinion is there's no fatal funnel if you're running slice-based entries. So no, whatever the internet says. I know there's other instructors who are on that same page as well. They're teaching similar tactics.
Yeah, the lesson here is maybe don't get your tactical training from the internet. Or maybe go get some from a person.
Well, how the hell else am I supposed to learn, Kent? They don't. I'm not allowed out of my basement.
Well, you're gonna have to do a virtual training session with Sam and have him take you through step by step. That actually wouldn't be a bad idea. The
IT guy could set me up with that because I have no clue how to do this virtual stuff.
You see what we're doing right now?
Yeah.
Just not live.
Yeah, this but not live and with more guns. The other thing that's interesting is that because of hashtag Rona and politics and strife and everything else, as it turns out, there seems to be an ammo shortage. Are you modifying your curriculum like a lot of other guys are, and are you trying to get more ammo sensitive in your curriculum, or you're like, screw it, Big Brother's paying for the ammo anyway, so we're gonna send it?
Yeah. So a lot of my CQB stuff is force on force, so there's not really any live fire with that. But like the Red Dot programs, the firearms instructor, they're all live fire. Find ammo.
Good answer. The answer is find ammo. As it turns out, you will not be doing dry fire all class. You must find ammo.
No, there's some dry fire, working on draw and stuff like that, finding the dot, but no, a lot of it is live fire. The 2-day class is about 800 rounds ammo.
Yep. That's his way of politely saying, screw it. The agency's paying for your ammo. Come out and bring it all. Yeah.
Yeah. Same thing like our low light class. 1-day low light's about around 400 rounds. Covert carry class is about 400. So it's not an excessive amount of rounds, but if you can spare a half case of ammo, you can do a 1-day class, full case for a 2-day. About that.
Yeah, sounds reasonable. Sounds absolutely reasonable. Are you seeing the same uptick that I am in newer students interested in training? Are you getting in new civilians?
Yes and no. I've been getting a lot of repeat students. Taking one class and then taking another because they want more. I've actually like this warrant service class coming up. There's guys from Philly, Jersey, all over the place coming for that one. Same thing with the red dot instructor coming up next month. There's like 7 or 8 people right now in it. Jersey, Bethlehem area, Scranton area, Philly area, wide range. Again, not many people from my area. And a lot of instructors that do come to my area, students come from, like, they're students who follow them or come from out of the area. A lot of them are not local. A lot of the ones who are local don't want to pay.
Yep.
If they're paying $150, $200 for a 1-day class, it's like a lot for them, which isn't really a lot when you take a look at what the industry is. Quality training is $200 to $300 a day.
Yep. No, it's interesting what you can get at that level. I actually just taught a really awesome all-day private for 3 dudes, and they paid about at that. They paid me $250 some odd dollars for the day, right? Each of them. Yeah. And those dudes got a freaking amazing experience, right? They really were able to see some progression and come up with a plan, and talk about what they could do to improve without me. And,
especially when you have that low ratio of student to instructor, a lot more time.
Absolutely. And there's not that, if there's 16 dudes, there's one guy who's, dragging everybody back, and then there's the other guy who's standing there going, when's lunch, right? Yeah. We do our best to eliminate those situations, but it does sometimes happen no matter what you do, right? So the private,
I've been in classes where it was like 20 students, 1 instructor.
Right.
How much time are you really getting? A lot of students are learning from other students.
Yeah. My max ratio is basically 1 to 8, right? So in a 16-person class, I'm bringing in another dude at least, if not this one coming up this weekend. I'm bringing in about 3 other dudes because that's the right way to do it.
Yeah.
But the student and the base, the customer base needs to be understanding and really truly needs to have a good idea of vetting what they expect out of whatever their training experience is, right? And this is a good opportunity for them to do that. What are some other things that your students in general should know about your training? What are some of your philosophies on stuff? How do you approach things like weather? How do you approach things like equipment? And, what do you expect guys to bring to classes? All that kind of stuff.
Well, it depends on the type of class. If it's an outdoor class, bring wet weather gear because we're going to run. I actually like when it rains because it gives you that, gives you that experience where you're not just sitting on the range on a nice day that you can find in the summer. And, you know, especially running a red dot class, because then, you're getting more reps in with that. We do some downed optic or, occlusions on optic and stuff like that. We'll, spray bottles and stuff like that. Just so guys know what to do if water gets on their glass. And it's not like pouring water on the glass, like misting water, which really affects the glass. Yeah, bring wet weather gear, sunblock if it's a hot day. I'm sure November for this red dot class, it might be a little cold. It's starting to get pretty chilly. So cold weather gear. Bring food, bring water, because we're gonna go right through lunch. You're gonna be snacking on the range, especially that 2-day instructor course, because it's all shooter coach. You're really gonna be moving. Let's see. Depends on the course, really.
Yeah, no, I hear you. What about as far as specific requirements for holsters, stuff you won't allow in, stuff, the gear side of this, right?
No nylon holsters, no Serpa holsters. If it's like an appendix holster, it better be a hard holster like Kydex or something along that sort that keeps its shape. Yeah, definitely no Serpas. Seen too many people take a round from shooting Serpa holsters.
Hashtag no Serpa.
I was actually down in Houston last year with Jedi, and that's when we were down there. That's when the guy on Houston's range took a round from a Serpa. Jim Dexter actually treated the guy.
To be entirely clear about that scenario, that guy was not a student in Jedi's class.
No, he was on so we were on the indoor range and this guy was on an outdoor range. The guy was on the outdoor range and I don't know, I didn't even know what happened. I guess they came running in. It was like, somebody just got shot. Is anybody in here medically trained? And Jim Dexter was like the only one standing there. He's like, where? And just ran outside. And then somebody came in and told I was talking with Jedi, and I don't remember who else was there. I don't know if Frank Proctor was down there too. I don't know if he was there at the time too. But we're all just like, somebody got shot? Like, where? When did that happen? And nobody even really knew it happened. Everybody's like, oh yeah, Jim ran outside. He's out there treating the guy. So he pulled an ankle kit off and threw a tourniquet on the guy.
Well, would you look at that? Ankle med kits for the win.
There you go.
Yeah.
Another thing, we recommend people bring med kits to our classes, like the range classes. Usually, when we send out about a week before a training class, we'll send out instructions, what to expect, what to bring, last minute stuff, course location, time to be there, some specifics. That's usually one of them.
And it's my understanding that
we always have big kits on the range too. Obviously, I have a backpack that I bring.
Yeah, all very similar here. It's my understanding that at the end of TD1, usually on Saturday night, you guys go out and do a course dinner where you buy everyone all the drinks. Is that still the deal?
Me?
Yeah, you.
Says who?
That's what I heard. I heard that ETS bought all the drinks on TD1. That's what I heard. So
when was that?
All the time. That's what I heard.
Jeez.
Yep.
I don't know about that. Who's buying me drink?
Maybe I will. I don't know, but then you got to buy the rest of them. No, I really enjoy it. One of my favorite things about training, in all seriousness, is the camaraderie and stuff. And the group dinners are always a freaking enjoyment, right? Getting to hang out with these guys and figuring out who you're with. And, what similarities you might have, all that kind of stuff. I know that's something that you do, and I've at least participated in one of them with you, and they're always fun to get to hang with everybody and try to figure out, who's who and where from, and you might know mutual people and stuff. That the training community, one of the things that's interesting about this, right, is there's not that many of us, really. I mean, I wish there were more, but the people who are serious and do this on the regular and are in multiple classes a year, couple 5,000, 7,000 at the high end, right? Chances are you're going to run into some people
Definitely. Even I've been across the country and having dinner with guys in class and mutual friends. Eventually you do it enough, you know a lot of different people. I know I have tons of people I consider some pretty good friends that are across the other side of the United States. Just know them through training. I keep in contact with a lot of guys that I meet at training classes.
Yeah, it's what's cool about it is you can pretty much assume a lot about someone's character if they're putting the extra time, effort, and energy, their own time, their own dime, their own everything, their own travel, to be better at potentially using some skill sets to save other people's lives. These are the kind of people I'm all right with having dinner with, right? They're probably pretty good folks and probably a pretty good friend to make, even if that friendship extends then beyond training.
Yeah, definitely. And more and more guys I see at training classes they're paying their own way through too. Tons of guys. My department doesn't pay for everything, and I don't ask them to pay for everything. I pay for a lot on my own. I literally have a binder that's 4 inches thick full of certificates, and I'd say probably 75 to 80% of them I've paid for on my own. But you could see, people who are really students and really want to learn, they'll pay their own way. You could definitely tell that by, their performance in classes.
Yeah, no, that's actually a really good point, right? Those that are paying to be there are real switched on because, they're paying to be there. Sometimes when somebody's being forced to be there, or it's part of a mandate from their employer, it can sometimes be the guy that's checked out and maybe negatively affecting everybody else's learning outcomes to a certain extent. If you let it. Or you can just tell them, hey, dude, stand over at the end of the line and text all night for all I give a shit, but we got work to do. So there is that. The med thing is something I want to delve into a little deeper. What level of medical knowledge do you think the average civilian everyday carry guy should have?
At minimum, stop the bleed. Definitely. I know people who've used it, car accidents, home, working around the house accidents. I know somebody who cut their leg with a chainsaw, and it wasn't bad enough they needed a tourniquet, but they actually put pressure bands and stuff on. I've had students leave my we used to do free stop the bleed classes on Stop the Bleed month and whatever, Stop the Bleed week, or what, I forget what the first one was, maybe a day. This past year, because of COVID, we didn't really do it, but I had a student maybe a year or two ago literally left the class, won a free med kit at the class. I did a raffle. I gave out free med kit. Left the class. He was a firefighter, actually. Within an hour of leaving there, he responded to a stabbing and used some supplies out of kit. Along the lines of police officers, I know several cops that have used the training that I've taught them from TACMed and saved people's lives with tourniquets or wound packing, chest seals, etc. And Stop the Bleed will teach you that basic stuff. It's almost like knowing CPR. I would recommend somebody have Stop the Bleed over a basic first aid. Everybody could put a Band-Aid on or put Neosporin on, but can they stop someone from bleeding out?
Yeah. I wish more folks would carry med gear. I just wish more people would carry the gear.
Yeah.
So let's follow this string, if you will. So, not inside your official capacity in law enforcement, Sam. What is one of the worst, medical cases, incidents, accidents, whatever you want to call it, or medical emergencies that you have witnessed, not in the course of your daily duties? Just out and about, Sam D doing his thing on a weekend or whatever. What's the worst thing you've seen?
Trying to think about everything over the years. So not working, you're saying?
Yeah, not working. So I'm trying to frame the proper context for the folks listening. Just because I'm trying to hammer home the point that just because you're not law enforcement, just because you're not EMT, doesn't mean that you won't possibly be able to leverage these skills to maybe save a life. It doesn't necessarily have to be the most gruesome. Of course, we don't want you to rehash any horrible memories, but maybe you came across a bad car accident. Maybe your uncle's the one that had the chainsaw problem with his thigh, right? It's
me personally. I think most of my personal ones have all been working.
All right. Well, then I'll fill you in one. I got one for you.
I do know people who have rolled up on car accidents, or I do have family members that have fallen in. I've applied some medical skills to them, with broken arms, like someone who they fell and their arm looked like a fork because that's how broken it was. But I wouldn't say that's like, traumatic. Well, it is traumatic, but not like life or death traumatic. Like it's not a tourniquet application or something. It was like a splinting, but accidents, man. My mother, somebody just commented a motorcycle accident. My mother was behind a guy on a motorcycle, got hit by a car, and like both legs amputated right in front of her.
Oof.
Jeez. A couple years ago had a gentleman in a terrible car accident right by my house, like up in Vermont. Dude just absolutely got thrown through the windshield, the whole thing, and I ended up multiple wound, little like gash wound packings, some gauze, a shitload of pressure bandages, plus dealing with obvious shock for a long EMS response.
Location.
Yeah, I was out there in Bethel. I mean, we had a long EMS response for that dude too. So I mean, everything but a tourniquet, right? Well, and no chest seals, but everything else to keep a lot of different wound and blood sites in, plus, spinal immobilization, because he did one of these things going out of his windshield and everything else. We didn't know what we were dealing with. And the other gentleman in the other vehicle was like out walking around going, "What happened?" Like, dude, sit down.
Yeah. State of shock.
It's unbelievable. But that was one for me that had nothing to do with, in a different work capacity, I've had some medical responsibility, ski industry kind of stuff. So I've seen some stuff through that, but not to the level of a working EMT or a working cop. You probably see something every week.
I wouldn't say every week, but a couple times a month.
Yeah. So I won't leave you guys hanging. So probably one of the worst that I've seen, at least with respect to at least blood loss, is when I was working at the gun store. We had one of our resident instructors. I should say regular instructors. He wasn't an employee of the store, but contracted out, retired law enforcement, older guy, teaching a fundamental, pistol marksmanship, I think NRA pistol level instructor, basic state requirement, CCW type stuff. The backstop at this range was fine. There's no issues with it, no safety concerns. But there were two metal plates that came together in a kind of, you're shooting into a V essentially, right? Well, the bullet that was fired by a young lady hit perfectly into that corner that in theory should have completely destroyed the bullet and sent it down into the trap and the rubber shavings. Instead, the jacket ricocheted back, pretty much ninja starred across this dude's neck. Like right on the side of his neck, damn near the jugular. Being an older guy on blood thinners, aspirin, all sorts of different stuff, as we get up in those ages, 60, late 60s, early 70s, that it's kind of nature of the game, right? Bled like a stuck pig. Now, luckily, he was fine. We, of course, those of us that had medical training were able to render aid to the guy. And there was even a law enforcement officer in the store that was able to help as well. But yeah, guys, you'd never know when it's going to happen.
Especially on a range.
Especially on a range, it's of course. But I mean, driving alone. Look at the number of accidents that occur on a firearms range every year, and then look at the number of vehicular accidents that we see every year. Right, the numbers, it's no comparison.
Yeah.
So,
car wrecks. I roll up on a good number of car wrecks just because I'm a traveling sales guy by day, right? So I'm on the road, 35,000 miles a year. Chances of me seeing a couple car wrecks are pretty good. Every once in a while, I get as far as putting gloves on and looking for severe bleeding. I've yet to, thank God, come up on a car wreck out in public somewhere where somebody's, seriously amputated or really needs a tourniquet application or anything like that. But, it does certainly happen. And, people that involve them or that find themselves in these scenarios have no idea what to do. One thing for sure is just some basic scene safety and some knowledge of how to administrate things to make sure that another injury doesn't occur. People lose their heads. It's wandering around in the middle of 283, for God's sakes, on a highway going, I don't understand what happened. I know what's about to happen. Get the hell off the road. How about that for a start?
Before you get smoked.
yeah.
Before you really get smoked. Yeah, exactly.
They're looking at, what's going on over there?
Right.
Yeah, all the rubberneckers, man. So, Sam, break it down for help the folks at home understand. So, you've mentioned both your TACMED classes that you offer, and taking at least a basic stop to bleed. Can in your own words, can you explain what one of the key differences is between those two courses?
So, stop to bleed is very basic. Covers tourniquets, wound packing, pressure bandages, chest seals, basic airway management like head tilt, chin lift, recovery position, stuff like that. My tactical emergency casualty care for law enforcement, first responders. It's an 8-hour day. Basically, it covers if you're in a gunfight and you need to apply medical treatment. It's law enforcement, related. Not necessarily in a gunfight, but that would be like your tactical, like basically, if there's still shooting going on, what to do at that point in time. If there's no shooting going on, what you would do then. If you were evacuating, what you could do during evac. Basically breaks down 3 different phases. So that's the one of the big differences. There's in that class, there's PowerPoint, practical exercises, and then we do scenarios. Where the Stop the Bleed course is like a 2.5, 3-hour course, no scenarios, basically PowerPoint presentation and some practical exercises. So basically one of the biggest differences.
Gotcha. Yeah, the Stop the Bleed is kind of like the CPR of this decade, right? It's the thing that everybody should have. It's generally free. We do it at our range. It's taught by a bunch of ER docs and stuff. What is it? StopTheBleed.org, right?
I believe that's what it is.
You can get on their website, get on the Stop the Bleed website, put in your local, zip code and your local details, and they'll tell you where you can go get a Stop the Bleed class. This is kind of one of those things that should be right up there with your CPR card, like you said. Just go get this done. Honestly, there's no reason not to.
And the same thing goes like with like our 8-hour. I call it the Tech LE. It's MOPEC approved. It's also PA Department Health approved for EMS Con Ed too. So the guys get 8 hours Con Ed out of that for their EMS research. So it follows the tech guidelines for law enforcement, first responders, the first responder guidelines.
The acronym he's using, TECC, is that correct?
Yeah, TECC-LE. So I say Tech LE. Basically, it's for people with very minimal medical training. So, like, your average law enforcement is an EMT. It's not covering any like paramedic level stuff. It's basic med, march protocols. Basically direct threat, indirect threat, evacuation care.
The tactical emergency combat care, or casualty care, excuse me, TECC. Yep. So the bottom line here is, like, man, you gotta jump into some med training, and we got a lot of shooter bros that listen to this and watch this. And if you're a shooter bro and you've yet to put in some medical work, and this is not Sam, I hate to burst your bubble, you ain't the first dude. Hell, we had Kerry Davis from Dark Angel Medical come on here in like episode 8 or something, I forget. But I mean, we've had a bunch of different high level instructors like yourself come on here and talk about shooting. And in many of these conversations, med has come up. It will continue to be a priority. The beatings will continue until morale improves, motherfuckers. If you're not squared away, get squared away on this. Because it would be a real tragedy to have you out on the range training to, do the gunfighter thing and save somebody's life, get hurt training to save somebody's life, and lose your own or take somebody else's life. Talk about the worst of training outcomes.
So the class I'm actually in this week, it's a range master course, not Tom Gibbons range master. It's basically like running firearms programs for agencies or ranges. So basically a management course, a lot of admin stuff. But they were like, during the one break, they're like, all right, now go on the internet and search for medical training courses, in the area or coming up, see what you find. And I almost want to be like, I got one.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't want to be that guy to plug my own course in another course.
Well, I'll be honest. I don't think nobody would frown upon somebody like, if you're gonna. I understand the etiquette, right? You don't want to be pitching your firearms classes and somebody else's firearms classes. But when a dude brings up a point of, go online. Good luck trying to find a medical class coming up. And excuse me, I think medical is one of those things that's important enough where if they get mad at you for that, then they're the asshole, right?
Whatever, right? Dude. Every gun class I come to, I bring a stack full of business cards and just throw them on the range. I don't give a fuck.
It's like the attorneys that roll up on a car accident and start throwing business cards on the driver's seat and floor, confetti in the cars with their business cards.
Just walk up and staple my own target right up over the other guys with my logo on it. Go, wow.
But it's a direct ripoff of that particular instructor's target.
Oh, that'd be even worse. Yeah, I could see me doing that. That would be terrible.
We're gonna be at Jedi's class next, and you're just gonna go up and have his exact target, but replace the samurai patch in the corner with a green mountain.
No, I didn't do.
No, right. Even better, go get a bunch of stickers made and just cover up his patch.
That would be terrible and a little funny. I think somebody, not him, would murder me. I think Bev would whoop my ass if I did something like that, so I better not do it.
All right, note to self, get stickers made for Green Mountain Defense. Bring to
targets. Go on our website. There's a targets and drills section. We have targets available on Targets Online. Basically, there's shapes, different sizes in there. Our red dot zero targets on there as well. It's up in the both upper and left hand corners. Basically, my red dot zero target's similar to a B8 with a grid in it that is very fine that it fades out when you get it to about like 10 yards. All you see is like a black center dot. It's 1/2-inch grid, so it's kind of calibrated for making your adjustments at 10 yards and then moving back to 25 to confirm. It's a USPSA style target with a split A zone. So there's an upper and lower A zone. The head is basically a head of an IDPA target with a 4-inch circle. So you have your USPSA head, 4-inch circle on the top. And then, like I said, there's other shapes and sizes in it. I've been randomly seeing them pop up on like Instagram and at certain ranges when I show up. Other people have been running them, I guess. So it's pretty good to see. People are actually out there buying it. Actually, I just recently saw TNVC was running them in their Night Fighter course. So
that's cool.
Yeah.
So out of curiosity, you touched on a good topic there. And while we are getting kind of to that magical moment, what is one of your favorite drills? You've got these targets on your website. You've got to have a personal favorite, right?
Personal favorite? I like running Will Petty's Vehicle CQB Instructor Qual course. It's not really a drill, but it's a 20-round course. He takes a regular piece of copy paper, folds it in half, so it's almost like a reduced A zone, throws it at 7 yards, puts you on a timer. So it's like from 7 yards, you have 6 rounds standing in, I think it's 5 seconds. 4 rounds squatting, 5 seconds. 4 rounds kneeling in 5 seconds. 3 rounds right side urban prone, 5 seconds, and 3 rounds left side urban prone in 5 seconds, all from holster. It's a nice little challenge if you're not on the on the spot on that buzzer. It's times are pretty tight if you got to be moving. That's when it really challenges you to use actual practical shooting positions that you might find yourself in. Other than that, I like shooting B8s at 25. They're always fun, but that drill really pushes you to move. And if you're the person who can't find a red dot on draw, you're going to struggle with it. So, I have a drill on my website too. It's basically a B8 size target, 8-inch circle with an inner A or an inner circle. It's like a speed test. So it's basically like 5 rounds, reload, 2 rounds. That's fun to run. A lot of people like running that one, seeing how fast I could run it in.
I like it.
Good stuff.
I like it, man. So we're pushing up to the end of the hour and a half mark here. Real quick, dudes, our little podcast has raised $1,000 for a family who deserves it. So just one more time for those playing the home game, thank you so much to everybody who was willing to jump in and help with that. And for Bryson Olson, hey dude, there you go. There's $1,000 towards the cause. I know his father was on here watching and listening for a while. I'm not sure if you can still hear me, but sir, our prayers and our best wishes are with you. And another example of the shooting community doing good things. So thanks to Tim, thanks to Frank, thanks to Mike, those of you that donated. Hit me up, Kent at greenmountaindefense.com, and I'll make sure we square away the classes that were promised on the show. Make sure everybody gets their stuff. Whoever gets with Sam, and the other guys get with me, and we'll get all that figured out. Thanks, thanks so much.
Kent, do you have my email handy?
Yeah.
You want to just throw it in the comments there, so whoever won can just shoot me an email, and you can shoot me the name. I could verify it. Yeah,
absolutely. We can do that for sure.
Yeah. Well, let's throw it in the description.
All right. Yeah. Go ahead and do that.
Yeah,
Man.
you do that.
So the
My website's on there. They could do the contact thing on my website there too.
That'll work.
Awesome, David. David just says, I'm so humbled by everyone's generosity and love for someone unknown. Yeah, man, absolutely. This is what the shooting community does. The guys that donated are brothers to me, and they're some of the best people in the world. So I'm in no way surprised. That being said, one of the things we usually do is ask folks to pick a charity. I guess we picked one for the whole show tonight, so that's effing cool. Sam, one of the other things we always like to do is we like to ask for recommended reading from our guests. What do you got for recommended reading for everybody out there? What should people be reading?
So there's a book, I'm trying to think of what it was called, that I read. It was all on like adult learning. Hold on. I know I have it here. One second. Yeah, you threw me on a spot with that one.
Yeah. We know we do that, but it always ends up being that whatever somebody's reading right now or recently comes up. It's kind of why it's fun.
Actually, while Sam was looking that one up, there's one that was mentioned a couple shows ago that I've been trying to look up, but I can't remember. What was the one on? Was it Violence of Mind? Is the one?
Yeah, Varg Freeborn, Violence of Mind.
Yeah, I need to look that one up myself. When I get finished with the current book I'm reading, I will move over to that one.
What are you reading right now?
This one is called. It's another one. So from Bill Rapier, who recommended the Jack Carr books.
Yep.
What was it? Target List. There's a couple others. I'm actually on book 3 now. It's a great series. I want to make sure I get the name right for the current one. I can look that up right here. Savage Son is the third book in the series.
All right, so I found it because I wanted to find the exact author and everything. It's called Building Shooters by Dustin P. Solomon.
Ooh. Okay, I'm gonna write that one down. This is one I've yet to hear of.
It says right on the cover, it says applying neuroscience research to tactical training system design and training delivery.
Dustin P. Solomon.
Solomon. Salomon.
Dustin P. Salmon. Perfect. Dustin P. Salmon. That's not how you spell salmon? Oh, well. So, Sam, thank you so much for your time. Thanks for being here on the show. Really appreciate your effort. And we always say this is becoming a trope, but at the end of every Green Mountain Defense class, I say that the most valuable commodity another person could give you is their time. Thank you so much for yours. Go ahead and do your plugs. Where can they find you on the Insta, the Snapchats, the OnlyFans? Where are you at? Where can they find you?
Facebook, Evolution Training Solutions, LLC. Instagram, evolution_training_solutions. Obviously, my website is down bottom here or somewhere on the website or on the podcast. It's evolutionordnance.org. Either one of those you can get a hold of me on, whether you direct message me, email me off my website, or there's even like a contact page. Either one of those.
Awesome, dude. Awesome. Well, folks, thank you again for all your time and listening. Really appreciate everybody's attention. Always good to have a live chat. If you're hearing the sound of our voice and you want to see visual, this is all available on YouTube. The channel is called the Sling'N Podcast. Apple, Spreaker, Stitcher, iTunes, all that kind of stuff. If you're seeing it on YouTube and you want to know where the rest of the podcast is, anywhere fine podcast information is served. All this being said, we would not be able to provide you what we do without the help of our affiliates and our friends in the business. It's getting to be a long list. www.greenmountaindefense.com/affiliate-links. If you're going to buy gun stuff and you'd like to help us in the process, bottom line is go to that place, follow the link to whichever vendor you like, and you will help us in your purchase, and it will not cost you additional monies. Notable on there are folks like Primary Arms, Brownells, Palmetto State Armory, Faxon Firearms. Anywhere you can get some really high quality firearms content, chances are we have an affiliate link. If you go out and you buy stuff on Amazon, we've got an Amazon affiliate link too that's in the same spot. So if you're like me and you're ordering diaper GD bags like they're going out of style and you feel the need to help a brother out, go ahead and do that as well. Also, we're members of the Right On Optics Pro staff. TJ and I both are, and we're very proud to be members of that pro staff. We get to play with some of the goodies, get some optics in our hands, mess around. They've got some pistol dots. Their pistol dots have yet to fail me, which is cool. No, I am not haranguing them off of tall buildings and beating them off of picnic tables. That's Aaron's job. If you want to watch that content, go see Aaron do it. Because if I was to do it, I would just be a disingenuous copycatter at best. Let's see, who else? Dark Angel Medical, code BB15. That's Bravo 15. Gives you 15% off on Carrie's website. It doesn't give us any kickbacks or anything like that. So this is not a 1010 code. This is just one of those things that we're doing to help somebody who's doing something that matters. So Dark Angel Medical for medical training and for med kits, BB15 there. We've got a growing number of other affiliated firearms training folks that are out there and around. Our buddies tonight, obviously, who always come up big for us, are the guys from Apache Solutions. If you find yourself in Yadkinville, North Carolina, I have no idea why you would, but if you do, go see Apache Solutions. I'm just screwing around. Honest to God, screw Yadkinville, North Carolina. If you are hearing the sound of my voice and you have the ability to buy a plane ticket, get over there and see what's going on. I'm on my way down on November 14th. Those boys say they're going to make me run a lot, and they don't think I can handle it. They think they're going to beat me into the ground at a gun class. And I'm going full retard on this one, boys. I'm wearing my booty shorts and everything. I am going to absolutely not disappoint. So it's going to be a good time. But
Pics or it didn't happen.
Well, Trey's going to be there with his camera. So
same thing. You go on my website. There's on the home screen. Go scroll down the bottom. You'll see some affiliates. Companies we recommend, some affiliate training companies. Also giving out codes. Big Tex Outdoors. If you're making any purchases from them, ETS 15 will get you 15% off your order from Big Tex Outdoors. They're great people to deal with. Good supplier, great customer service. Kind enough to give us a code to give out to our students and followers.
Awesome, man. That's great.
ETS 15 for 15% off there.
ETS 15. Great. What else was I just going to say? So besides Apache Solutions, clearly I recommend Evolution Training Solutions, seeing as Sam's already on here. Sam, I've been mentioning you in the shows that you're not on too. Just FYI, I've been trying to. Heck yeah, man. So I didn't make my joke about friendly competitors at the start of the show, but just like to be entirely transparent, Sam and I are a whole hour and 20 minutes away from each other, so like hour and a half tops, right? So I could not recommend my competitor, or I could stand here and give him a platform. And what do you think I chose to do? So go see Sam. If you're my alum, go see Sam. I will be. I'll be on his line here soon enough. Him and I have been on the line together as students. We've yet to take a class from each other, so that'll be cool. It'll be a good opportunity. So do that. Also here in our local area is Phil Groff from Vigor Training. If you haven't gone to see Phil yet and you're in PA, you really are missing out. If you haven't gone to see Phil yet and you're not in PA and you have the ability to buy a plane ticket, get the hell over here and do it. And he's coming to cities near you. He's on the road kicking ass, teaching cops, doing all kinds of stuff. He's coming down to Yadkinville, going to the Apache Boys Range for AVD on the 19th of December for his armed vehicle defense class. I don't know if there's still slots in that or not, but if there are, you should gobble them up. That's going to be fun. Bottom line is there's Florida too. Yeah, Florida's coming up for him. there's good folks everywhere. Ashton Ray out in the western side of the state, 360 Performance, out towards Pittsburgh Way. Again, if you're my alum, well, heck, we just went out and saw him for a med class from Caleb Causey. There's good people in all corners of this country doing good things with training, which leads me to 2 points that I'm often apt to bring up. Number one is there's no reason to give terrible training companies your business. There's enough really good people out here that deserve a look. So that's one thing for sure. Number two is there's absolutely no excuse for you not getting training. If you're saying there's not good training by me, chances are you're just not looking hard enough. Guys on the national scene are going everywhere these days. Regional instructors are starting to travel more. There's starting to be more quality regional instruction. Givens was just on here the other night, a couple weeks ago, and he said he thinks that this is the best time to be a firearms student because he believes there are so many quality trainers out. So if you're not getting this information, man, find a way. Get out. And all that being said, I just did this for MG, so people understand, take me up on it. I'm serious. If you're looking for training, email me, ken@greenmountaindefense.com, or Instagram message, or do whatever you got to do, and say, hey, I'm in XYZ place. I can't find a trainer. And I'll be damned if I can't, in a couple days, find you somebody. It's really not that tough. So we can get it done for you.
You're like the training bloodhound.
Man, dude, if you're not doing that, like, I want to know where every time something happens that, like, one of my buddies is on Instagram and he goes, oh, I was just with this person at this range. And I'm like, oh, I didn't fucking know about that one. I get all mad.
Listen, even with the COVID going on, like, I still racked in over 400 hours of training this year. It's around. You just got to find good training or who's in what area.
Yep. But and honestly, the last part of that little spiel is if you're looking for good training and there really isn't any coming to your facility, email me about that too, because don't think for a minute I won't come to you. Don't think for a minute Sam won't come to you. Don't any of us that you want to see and you want to see us bad enough, man, I don't know about you, Sam. I need like 8 to 10 dudes and a freaking berm and a place to go get beers afterwards. Maybe some targets would be good. But I mean, it's not that hard to host firearms training if you'll communicate with us, which is the number one thing that kills classes, right? Communication is what kills. We can figure out the logistics. We can figure out everything else. We just need you to be willing to put in the work and communicate, and we'll come on out. We'll do the damn thing.
The only thing I ask, people who host classes outside the area, give a hand with advertising. That's the biggest thing. Yeah, especially if it's like an area I've never been to.
Because the bottom line is, your local audience better than we do. I mean, if you're the guy at your gun club and you want to have us come out, get the other 8 or 10 guys that you shoot with at your gun club and get them out on the range with us. You'll get better. I promise. It'll be an enjoyable experience. All that being said, I'm going to get off my soapbox. Partner, you want to get us out of here or what, dude?
Yeah, man. Sam, thanks for coming on the show. Really appreciate you. Really proud of our viewership and our friends in the industry. Guys, thank you so much for supporting the GoFundMe for Bryson. So, young man, it's a tragic incident. Luckily, it did not turn out worse than what it did. But this young man has got a long recovery ahead of him. So we need to show him that support. But with that, folks, that's all we have for this week. Thank you. God bless you all. Take care of each other and get out and shoot.